So, my name is Bill Tibbetts. I'm the director of the Coalition of Religious Communities, which brings people together in Utah to work on issues that cause hunger and homelessness and hopefully reduce those things. One of our goals is to educate the larger community about what different faith traditions and different faith communities are up to, and what they have, why they're involved. And so today we're talking, I'm doing this little video with one of my heroes, Pastor Steve Klemz, who is now actually a retired pastor, and I think is a great example of somebody who stuck with it, who kept on working on issues that cause hunger, issues that cause homelessness, issues that cause impact marginalized people and communities, and did that throughout his career as a pastor, and is continuing to do it in retirement. And so I'll let Steve say a little bit more about himself, but I'm so glad. Thank you for taking time to talk to me.
Are you kidding? Thank you for having me, and thank you, Bill. It's amazing. It's amazing to see all that you do as organizer, as cajoler, as shepherd of the faith communities here, and just as I cannot do faith alone, I need to be in community. In the same way, I cannot do advocacy, I cannot do service alone. And so I'm thankful for you, for your leadership, for Crossroads Urban Center, and for Coalition of Religious Communities, because I cannot serve and I cannot advocate alone. So thank you for decades now. Thank you, and I thank God for you, for all that you've done. Yeah, so I'm Lutheran. Lutheran has an expression that I trust is an expression in different ways in different faith communities. So from our faith tradition, like when we pray the Lord's Prayer, your kingdom come, it means your gentle rule come, your way come, for peace and justice and shalom, that people no longer be homeless and people no longer hunger. And Martin Luther, in explaining, saying, so what does this mean that we pray your kingdom come? He said, well, God's kingdom comes even without our praying for it, but we pray in this petition that it may come among us also. So that begins to make a shift that it's not so much what I'm doing, but what God is doing and what I want to get caught up in, because we know that's God's ways with justice and peace. And so in a way, I'm kind of selfish. I just want to be caught up from that faith expression, which is probably encapsulates the mystery of so many faith expressions. So we know that serving and advocating for peace and justice is a divine way.
So God is working to end hunger and homelessness, and the question is, am I going to allow myself to be part of that, or am I going to fight against it?
Not only fight against, but even get more intimate about it. It's like, oh, Jesus says, so you want to see me? Go take a look at those who need a cold drink of water. Go and be in relationship with those who don't have a home. Go throughout scriptures we hear, go and advocate for those who are aliens, for those who are immigrants. And so the promise is that in being caught up in this way, we're caught up with Jesus. Or we're caught up in a holy way. And
so the path of working for a more just society is actually a path of becoming more connected with God.
Absolutely. That's the great surprise. that though we're within the walls of a faith community, that we are surprised when we find Jesus out there with others.
Right.
I've long been in advocacy with Cork.
Yeah.
And it was still a surprise to me right before the pandemic that I was with Pamela Atkinson at the Wiegand Center, leading devotions with our homeless friends. And I'm like, wow, this Christ is showing up here.
Yeah.
And this is
God
what
is
love
here.
is and what surprises are. And so again, so it's not so much what I'm doing, it's what I get caught up in. And there's a tremendous freedom and joy to that.
Right.
So So again, thank you.
Well,
Thanks be to God for you and for Cork and Crossroads.
I am lucky to work at a place where I meet people like you and get to work with people like you. So, well, you sort of answered it, but the other question I want to ask you is, I mean, is there a way that faith can enhance and strengthen activism?
For me, it's the only, it's from my experience, it's the only way. Otherwise, I take myself too seriously. I find myself, I'm feeling overly responsible, as if this is what I have to do.
Right.
As if I'm in a binary situation, an adversarial situation, that it's me against the others, rather than finding a way of working together and seeing the love of Christ in those in need.
If I show up and do my part, faith is that God will take care of the rest, or maybe not. Is that too much? That's different than what I
Oh man, that's it. The first sermon I heard Reverend Jesse Jackson preach way back before he was the Reverend Jesse Jackson in Rainbow Coalition. He talked about Romans 12:1, which was simply be there.
Yeah.
Just be there and just showing up. As sometimes people are, I've heard it said, people are more likely to act their way into a new kind of thinking than to think their way into a new kind of acting.
Right.
So come get involved. Come get involved here. Crossroads.
Right.
Come get involved in advocacy, and your way of thinking will be changed because you're showing up and acting.
Yeah. No.
Providing voice.
Your perspective changes by doing by showing up. You're right.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, is there anything else you wanted to share?
No, just gratitude for you all, big time.
Well, thank you so much for taking a few minutes to talk to me today. Thank you.
Thank you.